will very quickly go through the Buddhist canon. So canon is nothing but a law, a religious law, important law. So Buddhism, there are some questions that come always from this part. So I have prepared a small PPT. You have that. If I talk about some additional things, you can note it down over there. So the Buddhist canonical literature is called as Sri Pitaka, not Tripitaka or no, Sri, matlab three, or Pitaka. Pitaka is the basket of bamboo that was used at that time. So when I say there are three Pitakas, I do not mean there are three books. There are many, many more books, more than three, and they are categorized into three baskets. First basket contains Vinaya Pitaka, means all the books of Vinaya will be in the first basket. So it becomes Vinaya Pitaka. Vinaya is the discipline, the rule. Then the second basket is Sutta Pitaka. Sutta is sutra, the sermons and discourses given by Buddha. So these sermons and discourses were formed in the form of sutra, and all of the books that are about sutras are put into the second basket, that is Sutta Pitaka. And then we have Abhidhamma Pitaka. That is the third basket, in which have Abhidhamma is a way of thinking, a way of methodology of analysis. And all the books that come into that school or that style of writing are categorized in Abhidhamma Pitaka. So we have total 32 books. Total books are 32. Vinay Pitaka has some books, Sutta Pitaka has some books, and Abhidhamma Pitaka has some books. That is one. Primarily, the Sri Pitaka is the canon of Theravada Buddhism. That is the oldest form of Buddhism. By the way, you need to know one thing. This Theravada also means Hinayan. Okay, Hinayan and Theravada is one and the same thing. Do not confuse. Hinayan means the lower yan, or Mahayana means higher yan. We'll discuss that. But Hinayanis never call themselves Hinayan. They say we are here, but we are senior monks, we are the elders. So they call themselves Theravada, but later on their opponents who are Mahayana do not call them Theravada. They call them you are Hinayan, you are lesser way. Hinayan and Theravada is the same thing. They call themselves Theravada and others call them as Hinayan. Okay? And it is of all the existing Buddhist sects, it is the oldest sect. We'll discuss the sects later on. But you can understand one thing, that this Pali canon, because it is written in Pali language and it is supposed to have Buddha's word, it is amongst all the Buddhist canon the oldest canon. It is revered by almost all the Buddhist sects. And also it is claimed to be the canon of Theravada Buddhism. Other Buddhisms also support it, also revere it, but not to the extent to which Theravada supports it or reverse it. And other Buddhisms have their own canons as well. But Theravada has only Pali Tripitaka. So Tripitaka is the oldest, most important, and primarily of Theravada. That is the bottom line point. Okay. Now all these things were not composed at the same time. Vinaya and Sutta are the oldest, and Abhidhamma is the latest. It comes in the end. That is one thing. Even inside Vinaya and Sutta, you see that tradition says both of them were composed and compiled at the same time. But what we know for sure is Sutta in many ways is older than Vinaya. Vinaya has some elements which are older than Sutta. But Vinaya keeps on growing more and more as Sanghas spread across the Indian subcontinent, Central Asia, etc. It situated and confronted many new problems, social realities. So it has to accommodate more rules. Vinaya kept on increasing over time. So that's why Vinaya has some elements which are as old as Sutta, but many elements which are relatively recent. By recent, I mean, that is one thing. Now let us go to the next. Oh. Okay. So the timeline. It is said to be largely represent the words of Buddha. Especially Sutta is Sutra, words of Buddha. Secondly, there are three parts which are not contemporary, we talked about. And thirdly, these Tripitakas which survive today, they are largely written in Sri Lanka, in Pali language, almost many centuries after Buddha. Other contemporary sects also had their own versions of Tripitaka, which are now lost. In India, we do not find any Tripitaka surviving. This modern version of Tripitaka was brought to India from Sri Lanka almost 150, 200 years, 150 years ago by the senior Kosambi. He went to Calcutta, learned Mahabodhi Society, and learned Pali, then went to Sri Lanka, brought it back, and then revival of Buddhism started. So this is the Pali version which was written down in Sri Lanka. Indian versions are all lost. Anyway, let us move on. So we have to go inside each Pitaka and understand the number of important things. The subject matter of Vinaya Pitaka is to give the regulatory framework, the rules to regulate the monastic life of monks and nuns. We talked about the three things that Vinaya Pitaka is supposed to give about. The teachings of Buddha are generally divided into his doctrine, that is Dhamma, and his Sangha, that is Vinaya rules. So Dhamma and Vinaya both are equally important in Buddhism, unlike many other religions. There is a final in Mahaparinirvana Sutta, Buddha says, whatever Dhamma and Vinaya I have pointed out and formulated for you, that will be your teacher when I am gone. So when I am gone, your teacher is who? The Dhamma and Vinaya are your guiding light and your teacher. So what happened is that Vinaya was initially inculcated into monks. They had remembered all the Vinaya rules. But gradually, as Sangha expanded, it encultured many other new situations and realities. There was confusion, loss of memory, interpolation, then debates. So ultimately, they thought, let us do one thing, let us put together all the Vinaya rules. So it was combined. So oral tradition to written tradition, that also happens. Or even you say the personalized knowledge becomes depersonalized knowledge. It happens in any culture. So that is fine. Let us move ahead. The heart of Vinaya, the most important thing is Prati Moksha or Pati Moksha that we just talked about. Pati Moksha or Prati Moksha is the heart of Vinaya. And it talks about not only moral questions that the monk faces, but smaller things, how to wear clothes, what to speak, where to sit, where to stand, when to wake up, what not to eat. All these minor behavioral aspects are very tightly controlled by Vinaya. And because Vinaya is given so much importance, these rules are very important. Very, because if you can't control your behavior, you can't attain that control your senses, you can't control desire. So these Vinaya rules, howsoever small that they may seem to us today, they were considered very important in Buddhism at that time and even today. Uh, and these Patimokkha rules is the heart of that. They went through three stages of development. Initially, it was a simple confession that, "Arey yaar, maine chori kar di. I ate some meat which was forbidden. I lied a little bit. I had some extra money. I did some small corruption." So they used to go and confess to the senior monks, and that was it. Gradually, from that simple confession, there arose a monastic code to ensure the proper discipline. And as Sangha developed, Vinaya also developed. So when Sangha became formalized and enlarged, Vinaya became also a little bit larger. That is one thing. And this all rules of Patimokkha were ultimately compiled into one single liturgy, and they were recited in every Patimokkha ceremony. So it becomes a normal thing for Sangha organized. It's the heart of Vinaya. That is one thing. Then you go next. I have just given the rules and divisions of Patimokkha. It is not at all required to be remembered. Do not worry. This slide you can completely forget, but if you want to have as a backup or extra information, it is given over here, the division of Patimokkha. You have various offenses. So there are total 8 classes of offenses called Mahavibhanga. And these offenses are graded as per their severity. And for each severity, there is equally severe offense, punishment. So it is like Indian Penal Code. If you do smaller offense, you have smaller punishment. If you do larger offense, bigger offense, you have bigger punishment. Similarly, in Patimokkha, from smaller offenses to bigger offenses. Bigger offenses are those which require expulsion from the Sangha. That is the biggest offense. Sangha se nikal diya. And the smaller is like, okay, छोटी-छोटी dispute करो, ये करो, solve करो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं. No, it is all graded. That is the thing that is known to be required to be known. That's all. Not more than that. Then this Vinaya Pitaka is a basket of books. And which are these books? The first one is Sutta Vibhag. The second one is Khandaka. And the third one is Parivar. If you remember only these three names, that is enough. I have given the content of inside things which you do not need to remember. But Vinaya Pitaka has three books, Sutta Vibhag, Khandaka, and Parivar. Sutta Vibhag is the one which contains all the Patimokkha rules. Khandaka has two volumes, Mahavagga and Chillavagga, and here you find many of the historical parts as well. But books in Vinaya Pitaka are these three. That is the one. The second one is Sutta Pitaka. Vinaya Pitaka is done, now we have Sutta Pitaka. So Buddha delivered all his sermons, and these sermons are then sutras arise from that. These sermons were given in the language of North India, that is Pali at that time, and then gradually over centuries they were compiled, composed, and then composed, then compiled and written down, and then translated as well into Sanskrit. But originally it was not in Sanskrit. Tradition says that Sutta Pitaka was compiled first in the first Buddhist council. We'll see the council later on. Okay. So what were these? This is the largest part of the Pitakas. It has more than 10,000 suttas. More than 10,000 suttas. It is largest part. And the Sutta Pitakas is divided into Nikaya. Nikaya. Nikaya is again sub-part. Nikaya is not type of book. We have Digha Nikaya, Madhyama Nikaya, Samyukta Nikaya, Anguttara Nikaya, and Khuddaka Nikaya. It is very easy to remember. Digha is a Pali word for Dirgha. Dirgha is longer. Dirgha Nikaya, long part. We have Madhyama. Madhyama is Pali. For Sanskrit, it is Madhyam, medium. Here we have Khuddaka. Khuddaka is Shudra, the smallest, the least important name, lekin smallest. So Shudra. So Dirgha, Madhyam, and Shudra. That is about size. Then we have Samyukta, that is connected to each other. And we have Anguttara, that is graduated. So these are the 5 types of Nikayas inside Sutta Pitaka. And inside each Nikaya, we have multiple books and multiple sutras. For example, in Digha Nikaya, we have some important sutras like Mahaparinibbana Sutta. Mahaparinibbana Sutta is a sermon given by Buddha at the time of his Mahaparinibbana. उसके death की story जो है यहाँ पे आती है. We have Sigalovada Sutta. Sigalovada Sutta is about ethical conduct as well, but not for monks, but for laymen. If you are a normal गृहस्थ, आपको कैसे रहना चाहिए, उसके बारे में बुद्धा ने जो सूत्र दिया है, that is Sigalovada Sutta. यह Samannaphala Sutta. We already talked about it, Samannaphala Sutta yesterday, various Shramana Parampara and the story of king sitting on the terrace. Shramanaphala Sutta is there, story of Buddha. Ambattha Sutta, we talk of Ambattha Brahmin. We have Agganna Sutta, there is many suttas. I am just giving an illustrative list of few important suttas. In Madhyama Nikaya also you have some sutta. In Samyukta Nikaya you have some sutta and some vagga. Don't need to remember that. In Anguttara Nikaya again some sutta. And in Khuddaka Nikaya you have some books. So some of these suttas are important. For example, the most famous sutta is the sermon given by Buddha, the first sermon, the very first sermon. Where did he give that? Can you tell me? आप बताइए थोड़ा सा, अगर अनम्यूट कर सकते हैं तो.
सर when he realized वो enlightenment तो पेड़ के नीचे, साल के ट्री के नीचे.
Yes. At what place that happened? Name of the place?
Sarnath.
No. बोध गया. याद करो, बोध शब्द जहाँ पे आता है, बोधि जहाँ पे हुआ, then he got Sambodhi, became Buddha, he got enlightened. It is Bodha Gaya. So that people tree is in Bodha Gaya, where he got enlightened. And it is not that immediately after that he gave the sermon. No, he took few weeks. After a few weeks, he was wandering here and thinking what to do. Ultimately decided to give sermon. He went to Sarnath, and in Sarnath he gave the first speech. So Dhamma Chakra Pravartana is the setting of the wheel of Dhamma in motion that happens in Sarnath and not in Gaya. Do not confuse, these are two different things. Enlightenment Sambodhi is a different thing, and Dhammachakra Pravartan is a different thing, happening few weeks apart into different places. Okay, don't get confused. But the first sermon, Dhammachakra Pravartana, is enlisted or categorized under Sanyukta Nikaya, is a part of Sutta Pitaka. And in Khuddaka Nikaya, we have very many books. Again, this is just an illustrative list. There are many more books over here, but these four are something which are important to us. Thera Gatha, Theri Gatha, Jatak Katha, Mulinda Pandu. So Thera Gatha and Theri Gatha, we already have an idea. Theri Gatha we saw. It's a composition of spiritual journeys and experiences of women monks. Similarly, Thera Gatha is for male monks. So two different compositions. These are not composed by Buddha, by the way. These are composed by nuns and monks. Likewise, we have Jataka Katha. Jatak Katha are stories of Buddha from previous life. We'll see them in a bit. Then we have Milinda Panu, the question answer between Raja Menander, Milinda, Indo-Greek king from the 1st century BCE, and the Acharya Nagasen, who comes there to visit his court. So these are the books that come from later time. That Milinda Panu comes from later time. It is a part of Sutta Pitaka. So if a question is asked, is all Sutta Pitaka words of Buddha? No. Is all Sutta Pitaka contemporary to each other? No. Some of its parts are added later on. There is one book that is not listed here that should come in Sutta Nikaya, and it is the most important and my most loved book, beloved book, that is Dhammapada. Dhammapada. Dhammapada, this book is the collection of sayings of Buddha. I can show that book to you. So, do I have that book today? I have not brought that. But Dhammapada is a small book. Oh, I have. Yes. So this is Dhammapada. It's a translation of Dhammapada from Pali into English done by our Bharat Ratna person, Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan. It's a fine book. You can read that. It's given in Pali and done in English. And there are very interesting moralistic, aphoristic things in the book. You will like that book, but don't read right now. Read after you are selected. I am not recommending this book right now at all. Okay. So Dhammapada is a part of Khuddaka Nikaya. It is part of Sutta Pitaka. Let us move on. Some examples of Sutta. As Dhammachakra Pravartana, the first sermon which happens 7 weeks after enlightenment, when the wheel of law was set in motion, that is Dhammachakra Pravartana. And in that he talks about some important Buddhist doctrinal concepts, like the Four Noble Truths, Aryani Satchani. In the very first speech that he gave, he talks of Four Noble Truths. The Mahaparinibbana Sutta, that comes at the end of time. It is the longest sutta in Sutta Pitaka, Mahaparinibbana Sutta. We have Aganna Sutta. So Aganna Sutta is very important because in that you see that Buddha is speculating about science and nature and society and world and all its structure. And you will come across very interesting things. If you are from PSI or optional, you might even be able to quote that somewhere. Buddha says that he gives some insights about evolution of the world and how this thing came about, etc. But anyway, point is that Buddha somehow implies evolution theory of universe in that. If it expands, it shrinks, it expands, and he's giving some evolutionary aspect. That is scientific wala part. But when it comes to society, there's equality of origin in human race. Okay. He says that Varna and Ucha Neech, up and down, low and high are all not divinely ordained, but they came later on. The original human beings are one and the same. So humanistic thought of Buddhism, you can quote this Sutta, Aganna Sutta, very important. Anyway, these are examples. Again, do not remember the Sutta by name. I'm just giving you an idea of what Sutta is, how does it look. Then you have Dhammapada, Theragatha, Therigatha, which we already discussed. यह जातक कथा, अगर आप बचपन में कभी पढ़े हो अमर चित्र कथा, हैव यू रेड अमर चित्र कथा इन योर चाइल्डहुड? तो कुछ बताओ यार थोड़ा सा. आई एम नॉट श्योर कि मैं कितना ओल्ड हो गया हूँ. Can anybody tell me if they have read Amar Chitra Katha ever?
Yes, sir. I have read.
अरे चलो एक तो कोई मिल गया। चलो गुड गुड। यार यू शुड रीड अमर चित्रकथा। एनीवे, आई हैव नॉट रेड टिंटिन बट आई हैव रेड अमर चित्रकथा। जातक कथा। तो जातक कथा, see जातक comes from j is janam hona, janam hona. So Buddha's various previous lives in which Buddha is born in a different forms, as a man, as a woman, as a slave, as a master, as rich, as poor, as animals, as human, what in all the forms. Buddha is taking birth again and again, and then he undergoes various stories. It is a typical framing device in which Buddha will come up with a situation. Then, to solve the situation, he will have to give a moral lesson, and to give the moral lesson, he will tell the story in which he will go to some previous life, and there is some entire story happening which is completely unrelated. That story will end, at the end of which you will get a lesson, and then you will apply the lesson to the today's life. So two stories go together in Jatak Katha. It's a framing device, a writer's device. And there are many, it's a moralistic story, they are very popular, and there are many, many Jatak Kathas. Many of them Jatak Kathas might be even older than Buddha, just floating around in society, which were collected as part of Buddhist canon, and very happy and nice stories as well. So you can read them. And Jatak Kathas later on became very important in Buddhist art. In Buddhist, if you go to Bharhut, if you go to Sanchi, you will see many panels. If you go to Amravati in South India, Amravati has many narrative sculptural panels in which you see Jatak Kathas engraved. Jatak Kathas are very important. And the Milinda Pano. Milinda Pano is a dialogue between Milinda, that is Melander, and Nagasen. We have already talked about it. Now come to the Akhri or the last thing. That is, so I have Jatak Katha as well. The Transit My Penguin. I have not read this. I have read in Amar Chitra Katha only, but I have this. If you want to read sometime. Anyway, come to the last Pitaka, that is Abhidhamma Pitaka. So it's the philosophical and psychological discourse. Abhidhamma Pitaka is definitely not contemporary of Buddha. Definitely. It came later on. It is restructuring, reworking, reformulation with additional insight. Abhidhamma is a methodology, and there are many books in Abhidhamma Pitaka that follow that methodology. Okay. And it started as an elaboration and developed into many doctrines later on. So it is a very scholarly analysis, reworking in FAQ format with many additional things also. It's a schematized system of general principles, which might be called as Buddhist psychology. And Abhidhamma came later on, but not all schools of thought in Buddhism follow Abhidhamma. Some of them reject Abhidhamma, some of them uphold Abhidhamma as a very high thing. That is important. Inside Abhidhamma, if you go, you have many books. Again, you do not need to remember these names at all. But we have 7 books in Abhidhamma: Dhamma Sangini, Vibhaga, Dhatu Katha, Yamaka, Patana, Kathavattu, and Puggala Pannati. Do not remember these names at all. The only thing that you need to remember is one book of these 7, that is Kathavattu. Kathavattu, that is Kathavattu, is very important, and we'll come to know why when we start reading Buddha's actions and schisms in some time. But remember, Abhidhamma Pitaka has 7 books, and only one book is of our relevance. That is Kathavattu. There you are. As I had initially said, each school of thought had its own canon, apart from Tripitaka as well. So if you go to Mahayana, you have many texts in Mahayana, which are called Sutra texts. And inside Sutra text, you have Lotus Sutra, Diamond Sutra, Heart Sutra, Wisdom Sutra, Sutra of Perfect Enlightenment, Amitabha Sutra, Lalita Vistara Sutra. So this sutra, here we will not call them sutra, because it is not in Sanskrit. It is originally, it is not in Pali, it is in Sanskrit. Mahayanis followed Sanskrit language, and they did not follow Pali language. So we call them sutra and not sutra. That is one thing. Most of these sutras are lost in the original land, that is India, and what exists today is their Chinese translation. Haiyan Yuan came to India and got this all back there in China, in Tibet, in Japan. So we have their Chinese, Japanese translation of original Indian books from which we can reconstruct it back, how it must have been like originally. We do not have these sutras in Sanskrit anymore. They are all lost in medieval times. Like the Sutra of Perfect Wisdom, Prajna Paramita Sutra, is the most important sutra. Anyway, so we have this one category of fine artists called Sutra category, and there is another category called agamas. These agamas are also many books, and these agamas are, you can find agamas in Buddhism, in Jainism, in Shaivism especially. So agama is just a category of books, and Buddhism in Mahayana have its own agamas. That's all you need to know. So agama literature is not specific to only Buddhism; it is there in many faiths. And when you come to Vajrayana, again Vajrayana has its own books, Guhya Samaj, Manjushri Moola Kalpa, Evajra Tantra, Tantric books are also there. So my point is that Tripitakas are the most important and the oldest and contains Buddha's word, but other sects have their separate book sets as well in their own canon. Okay.